Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. Hope everyone is having a great week. Today, I wanted to talk about. I was watching the Dark Horse podcast yesterday with Brett Weinstein and his wife, Heather. Um, and I always find just their takes on things interesting because it's from a uh, rational liberal perspective and a traditional liberal perspective, which it's very hard to find these days. As I think the left has gone kind of insane, and especially as you get into the cities and just radical. I mean, I think Mom Donnie is a good example of going to the extreme end of socialism and or communism. And so like I just find their content refreshing. But yesterday when I was watching, they had a whole segment. A big portion of their show was on Spencer Pratt and the LA mayor's race. And I'll tell you, as someone who doesn't live in LA, doesn't live in California, lives in North Carolina, like I've got no um, dog in this fight in LA. But I think the way that Democrats in LA are responding to Spencer Pratt is emblematic of the way that Democrats have been responding largely to the right. And I want to play this clip because I think it just kind of encapsulates it pretty well. So I'll let this play through.
Well, the good news is when I enforce the law and clear the street of the drug addicts that have taken over 40 blocks of downtown LA, abandoned buildings that have drug addicts just lighting them on fire every other day, I will have potentially 20,000 units available to build. And thankfully, I spent a lot of time in a town that has a lot of builders, and I see all the new 3D printing and the potential of how fast we can do it. And with this ED1 that Mayor Bass started, I met with the developer this week, Carlos, and he said, yes, she did an initiative where she fast tracked it 6 months. It's been 2.5 years, and he hasn't been able to get his permits. The best part is some of these developers that are taking all our tax money are charging $750 a square foot for stuff that should be costing $250. And Councilwoman Rahman, this plan that she's going to build all these units, guess what? She's going to sue all the people that actually rents to the tenants, and then they're not going to even want to rent to anybody because she wants people to squat in there for a year and not pay. So I don't know how her plan is going to work.
Councilmember Rahman, you have 30 seconds to respond, and then Cody has a question that coincides with all of this. Please.
Great. I mean, I don't. I'm not sure how to respond to that vision of Los Angeles. This is a MAGA Republicans' idea of what Los Angeles looks like. This is really not. This is really not the city that I love so much.
So I just find it interesting, right? She has no real response to what Spencer Pratt is saying. And I think she has no response because, well, one, she knows he's right. And two, I don't think that a lot of these Democrats, specifically in Democrat controlled areas, have to actually debate ideas. And this is the result of that. Um, when you spend a lot of time, and I think this probably happens in Republican controlled areas as well, although I think just as someone who's on the right, there seems to be more debate of ideas, policy, and a lot more disagreement within party than what I see on the Democrat side. Um, and there is a distinction I want to make. There are city Democrats and there are suburban Democrats. Um, those two overlap only to the extent that someone came from a city and now lives in the suburbs. But generally speaking, policies and ideas that are being brought up in the Democratic Party within major cities does not translate to suburban Democrats and generally the things that they find important, which are completely distinct. And it's not really. I should caveat it by saying there are city problems, there are suburban problems. Republicans running in cities tend to view the fixes to those problems the same way that they view suburban issues, which is crime and safety, lowering the cost of living, reducing tax. Like they're kind of blanket, but Democrat policy within cities and the kinds of Democrats that are in cities are distinctly different than Democrats um, in the suburbs, especially as you get more out in the rural areas. I think this is why you can have like a New Hampshire, which is an interesting state, which has, you can have a Republican governor, but then you can have Democrats that are on the local level, it's just interesting. And the things that they're focused on are what more traditional Democrats and liberals kind of view. At any rate, the point is I don't think in this video she's ever had to debate ideas. She's never been challenged. I don't think Karen Bass has ever been challenged. You see this a lot. They can't respond um, for a multitude of reasons. I would say, again, they've never been challenged. They don't actually believe what they're saying. Could be one of those things that can't get inside their head, but they just have no response. So the response, and this is where I'm talking about Democrats right now as a whole, the response is to deflect, try to brand someone as MAGA, and then have people just hate the candidate because they're associated with MAGA. Well, the reality is, and this race is a prime example of that, that does not work and it does not matter. I don't think it's necessarily helpful that in Spencer Pratt's case that Trump endorsed him, because then it kind of solidifies this, oh, he's Trump adjacent within the LA community. But again, I don't think that necessarily matters. And it's because a large majority of people are now, after the last election, where it was Rick Caruso and Karen Bass, and they voted for Karen Bass over Rick Caruso. Then they watched Rick Caruso's entire commercial development not burn down because he provided water and did all the things that you're supposed to do for the community. He protected his own property, had the money to do it. People saw that and they're like, well, man, if we had him as mayor, he would have done that for the entire community, and maybe it wouldn't have burned down. Spencer Pratt's house burned down. His parents' house burned down. Democrats cannot go after him because he's staying in the Beverly Hills, whatever. His house burned down. And his house burned down. That's the reason why he's there. That's the reason why he had the trailer to begin with, and the reason why he is in the hotel is because his house burned down. Those facts cannot be disputed. And his house burned down along with his parents and hundreds, thousands of other people in the area because of bad management and bad policy. And so in this particular case, the only thing that they can do is to deflect and say, oh, he's MAGA. This is a MAGA vision of the city. No. Any tourist that goes into the city, and if you, I say, you could see this in San Francisco. I haven't been back within the last 2 years, but there was a time where you could go to San Francisco and just see like drug addicts right at the end of Market Street. And that's a huge touristy area because you have the water, the bay right there, and you have all these nice restaurants that are lining the water. And then you have like the business side on the other side. So packed in between, especially in the park, were just drug addicts everywhere and just like openly using drugs. You could see it there. In LA, it's even worse. You have entire sections of town where the homeless are just encamped. and using drugs openly on the street. And Spencer Pratt makes the connection, or he makes the distinction, I should say, that there are homeless people and there are drug addicts. And for the homeless people, the people that can't afford housing but are able to work and do the things, and maybe this fell in hard times, there's housing available for those individuals. On the other side, there are the drug addicts that are on the street that do not want to go to housing because they can't use drugs in housing, and they have all these rules and regulations. That is a fact. You can see this in New York City as well. The people that are on the street, generally speaking, are drug addicts, or they are they should be getting treatment for, or at least getting help for, mental disabilities. A lot of people are crazy. You just hear people talking to themselves and yelling on the street, and mental illness is a real thing. But again, you have the drug addicts on the street that don't want to go in and don't want to seek help. They just want to do drugs. And that's why they're on the street. And so you can see this again in LA if you visited. You can see it if you've been to, say, Venice Beach, for instance, where you have the boardwalk, or I should say the concrete walkway with the businesses that are there. And then you've got the strip of grass, and then you've got the beach. And the strip of grass is kind of outlined by another kind of sidewalk that separates the beach from the grass area and kind of the sand. And in that lot, in that grass area, tents are everywhere. There's homeless people everywhere. Like, these people do not want to go to a shelter. They want to live in the freedom that they're being given, or allowed to have, in camps, in areas in LA, and the surrounding areas. And so you have to deal with that some way, shape, or form. Now, Spencer Pratt is giving a kind of a detailed explanation of how he would deal with it. The response to that should be an idea or a set of ideas that this is how I would do it. But that's not what she does, and that's not what Democrats are doing at all right now. They're not arguing the policy on the merits. They're going after and attacking the individual. And the voters are seeing that. The voters want responses to, say, Trump's policy. Maybe there's, I think at this point, there is no debating that having a bunch of illegal immigrants flood the southern border and come into the US in the tens of millions is not a good policy. And that's why Joe Biden ultimately lost and Kamala Harris lost, because she wouldn't do anything different, right? And so, like, usually what you want is like, okay, an acknowledgement, one, that maybe that didn't work out the way we were trying to be compassionate. Maybe we were a little too compassionate. That's what they probably should say. Oh, we were just too compassionate, and we didn't realize that it was going to have all of these negative effects on the community. I think this is how we're going to address it moving forward. That's not what they're doing. They're saying MAGA are racist. Trump is a racist. It's racist and bigoted to put up a wall or stop the flow of illegal immigration into the U.S. It's not compassionate to block people from entering the U.S. illegally across the southern border. And then, by the way, I'm going to conflate illegal immigrants with legal immigrants and just put them all in a pool and just talk about how bad it is that the Trump administration isn't letting in immigrants. They're the lifeblood of the community, but they're not actually giving a policy difference. And so what that ultimately is doing is forcing Democrats at this point to have to look at, well, I don't really care about what party this person is, and this is happening within the LA race. I don't care about party. You can say he's MAGA or the candidate is MAGA adjacent or this, that, and the other. But this person has ideas that are addressing my problems. And I'm going to vote for that person because I believe that their solutions to my problems are more effective than what the other person is saying, or in this case, not saying at all. And so until Democrats, just wake up and start actually dealing with not only the repercussions of a lot of the bad policy that they've been putting out, but admitting it and making changes to adjust, you may see more Spencer Pratts against Democrats who never are challenged, won't admit they're wrong, and will just continue to double down on essentially what I think is just stupidity. But at any rate, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Am I off base here? Do Democrats have answers to problems? I'm just missing all the policy prescriptions that they're putting out. Let me know in the comment section below. But as always, keep believing the best for America is still ahead. Peace out.